Sure.
You can move it over here.
Or we could just move it over here. I think that might be easier. Okay. We're squishy things.
No, stop. Don't move until I move, because I'm stuck in your chair. I'm stuck on the broom. Move the broom.
You move the broom.
You move the broom.
You move the broom. Oh, hi. Someone's here. Did we? Yeah, we're live.
Move the broom.
You move the broom. Oh, that's better. Sort of. Hey, everybody.
I think we need to put that light over there next time.
You need to be over there. Make you my light. Anyway, hi, guys. How's it going? I don't know if we already lost you. I have no idea how this is going to go. The internet has been spotty all day long, so... Excuse me. I'm dying off screen. I appreciate the like, whoever did. For some reason, YouTube can't comprehend that I've jumped 2 time zones, so I messed up on my time. It was supposed to be 9:15, not 8:15. I apologize thoroughly, especially if you were here for like 30 minutes or something before, thinking I'd show. See, I wasn't late, but I was late. According to my time, I'm perfect. According to YouTube, I was an hour late because YouTube is gay. Very gay. What's going on with my beard? There's one tuft of beard right there. It's driving me crazy. Makes you look like I have jowls.
It's the light. It's the light.
It's not the light. It's the tuft of beard, right? It's tuft of beard. See it? It's getting longer.
I wasn't the one that shaved that part.
Shut up. I shaved my beard last, thank you. Anyway, it has been a long time since we've streamed. The move, plenty of excuses. Still could have probably done it last week. Thanks for hanging on for all you guys who did. I was really surprised that we didn't lose any subscribers as the time went on and we still didn't stream. But I appreciate all of you guys who do show up and watch the stream and come back. Sorry to the one of you who showed up and then quickly left. It's going to be one of those streams. So, I'm streaming on the wrong day. It's supposed to be Friday. It's Saturday. I streamed an hour later, apparently, than what I was supposed to, thanks to YouTube. You wouldn't want me stream back then. My kids were very loud. They're only now just asleep-ish. Sleep-ish. All that is said, we have moved 2,400 miles. We are now in Arizona. Same internet box, which might be a problem, but the connection's way better here. So, and happy to be alive. Happy to be here. New job. It's working out great. Around family. But we have missed a ton of video game content news. Just a ton. It's everywhere, wife. And you might be wondering, why didn't we stream yesterday? It was Friday. Our anniversary. We had to celebrate it.
It was our date for the anniversary.
It was our date night. And I'm sorry.
We were busy.
You guys are important to me, but this is my 7th anniversary and the first one in Arizona. I had to make it special for the wife. Even though we only went bowling.
The first one in the special.
It's like a special. You haven't had any help in the parenting game for years when bowling is special to you.
The arcade was nice.
It was a fun arcade. Yeah, fun. Well, I felt like a teenager again for like 5 minutes. It was cute. As long as it was like an hour. In a very grown-up way.
It was a good cocktail.
It's true. Ironically, that was our first anniversary date where we bought alcohol. That made it way worse. I don't understand this lighting or this lamp at all. I don't know what to do about it. Oh.
Actually, that makes it better.
This is pretty good?
Yeah. Keep moving it forward if you can.
Sure, it's got a long cord.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. First, that is better.
Isn't it?
That's way better.
That's what I was thinking.
I like that. Oh, right here for now.
It's like a moonlight.
I know. Where was that yesterday? No. You have to forgive all the the hiccups here, guys. We this is our first stream in the new house, figuring out life. We're not fancy pants. We don't have a studio. That's how you know we're genuine, guys. We're doing it out of our closets or our living rooms when our kids are asleep. We're definitely not funded by Dr. Pepper. Anyway, I suppose I should get to the topics. I feel horrible for anyone who showed, again, last apology, for anyone who showed up and we weren't here. Sure. Wife's going to share once more before we get into it. And I promise I will not let YouTube trick me into putting the wrong time down again. That was foolish. Absolutely. Yeah, get excited, wife. We're excited. It's so weird. All right. Oh my.
Don't worry.
I'm scared, wife. I'm scared.
See?
Okay.
Okay.
I have to see my face. What can I do if I don't see my face? How could you talk about that? Okay. So we'll get into the list play by play. First up is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Is not only gay, but apparently pedophilic. Pedo. As the characters that could be gay, the main character you can play, and the other character are like 15 and 16, or 15. Worse, you can go for the whole saga on Fandom Pulse, and I recommend you do. As it turns out, this wasn't just like an overstep from the developers who didn't count out how old the character was, who was based on a real life person or whatever who has a birth date and all those rest. Right? They actively knew, because when people called them out on it, they defended it in the creepiest way possible. The exact wordings was somebody pointed out that when you have gay sex in this game, you're actually having gay underage sex. And the developer answered with, imagine the time oh shoot, yeah, there's a Discord. I haven't been talking in it. Oh my lord.
I'm sorry.
Skydog's gonna be mad. He hasn't seen a picture of our dog in a long time. What will he do?
Well,
The exact
tomorrow I can take a picture of her.
Sure. Oh, the exact defense was, imagine in the time period 12-year-old girls were given over to marriage and had children, and there were witnesses for first sex. Okay. What does that mean? That means they actively meant for the character to be underage and be engaging in gay sex. Furthermore,
then have somebody watching you.
Mm-hmm. Now, the funny thing about that too is, no, that's actually not historically accurate. There are rare cases of that happening, usually in royal families, and for political marriages. And the witnesses in a lot of those political marriages were because children are going crazy.
They're jumping on the desk. You saw that?
I did see that. That is what? So it's funny the way our everything is set up. I can see into my boy's room from here. It's hard to explain, but those witnesses were for political marriages. Because if you're sent off your son to make an heir or to have an heir, and you want to make, and you send off your daughter or whatever to make a very important political marriage, you want to make sure that that's your kid, right? That's your grandkid on the throne or whatever. So hence witnesses. Unfortunate, but this was not a standard practice. This was specific cases. And even then, most of those royal marriages didn't go before 14. We're talking 16 maybe, but we're not talking they're marrying them off at 12 generally. That's like a very unique case. That all aside, all the historical references aside, there's another smoking gun here. And that's the fact that there are other sex scenes in this game. However, they don't, I should actually say there are no other sex scenes in this game. There are other sexual encounters with women, and all of those encounters fade to black. Right? Okay, obviously the two characters are having sex, fades to black. The one gay sex scene with an underage child, a 15-year-old boy, is not fade to black and is very graphic. But all the other sex scenes in the game fade to black. Yeah. Oh. Oh, yes. So, if that's not gay, I don't know what is. You can't say in this situation then that the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 just wants to have all the depravity, whatever, in the game. No. Even from that perspective, they're not putting the heterosexual sex in there. They're only putting the gay sex in there. That's gay. And pedophilic. Recently, they even had to change their codex because their original codex, upon describing the character in question, they can have sex with the main character in the game. They describe him as, I quote, an underage son. Like there's no defense. They have none. They purposely and very specifically made this character underage. Now, why would they do that? Especially since if you look at the video game, they kind of animate them like they're full-grown men. So why make this just out of nowhere a 15-year-old boy? In fact, they changed it. They've retroactive changed it so it's a 20-year-old now. They were scared, and they should be, because that counts as child pornography now. Mm-hmm. They don't include other children in this game because of legal reasons. Like, you kill a child, suddenly your rating goes higher, right? If you have the ability to kill a child in a video game, that lots of governments don't like that. So video games don't include children, so you don't have that whole situation. Except they added one teenage-aged younger person, and that person can be had sex with. And they very purposely made sure that would happen, and that it was gay. And they made that scene very graphic, while all the other sex scenes just fade to black. Did you know the developer's a Jew, by the way? The main developer. The guy defending the underage sex in his game. It's just historically accurate.
I remember that person who went on and...
Oh, yeah.
You're part of the problem, you moron.
We are vindicated, all of us who called out that stuff. Like,
called out that
personally, even if it wasn't pedophile, it's still bad. Gay. What are you doing? Anyway, the smoking gun is the fade to black for the heterosexual sex scenes, but the graphic one for the gay one. Now, it's way worse now than the pedophile stuff. Like, there's no defense now. Because not only because of those interactions on Twitter and that codex entry. So the first game had a codex entry on the game, right, on this character. Used to. They've changed it since in an update covering their tracks. But they have pictures of it online. Like, they can't get away from it. And in that one, the Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, they say the main character, they use the word underaged.
They save that in the data?
Yeah, it's saved. Like, Fandom Pulse has it. It's there. They're not getting rid of it.
Of course not. They better not.
Yeah.
This is...
And so,
wow.
What's really crazy about, right, is you might be saying, well, what are they doing? What's the point of this? Surely this has to be an accident. No,
it's not.
Surely it's not an accident.
It's no accident that a Jew is doing this either.
Yeah, I mean, after everything I laid out, this is a on-purpose attempt to push younger and younger sex. This has actually been something that's been going on for a long time. This shows the connection to old Hollywood in this. Like they're owned by BlackRock, guys. Like there's BlackRock owns another subsidiary that owns the developers for this game.
I need this. I'm sorry.
For now, just cover it with magnets. What a dang it!
I'm sorry. We're still not used to streaming.
I know.
I mean, my head is. I'm
We
too
got
short.
out of it. That's unfortunate.
I mean, you can't really see it, and
Yeah, hopefully not. Whatever. Anyway,
excuse
we
me.
shouldn't leave that on the fridge after the. Yeah.
No, I should.
Oh well.
Stupid me.
It's like we have a lot on our minds or something. But I will continue. So,
I thought Grandma would actually put it in her purse or something.
well, she doesn't actually need it unless she has
yeah,
the
I
kids. So, shh. Anyway. So what I'm talking about here. All right. BlackRock owns a subsidiary company, I forget what it's called, that owns this developer. If you're wondering why they're pushed in all the main circles, IGN, all these YouTubers defending it and all the rest, it's not gay. It's fine that there's a black person in the medieval Bohemia who's really smart and scientific and tells all the white people they're stupid, right? You know, that's fine. the main character gets raped, roofied by a chick, and it's totally fine in the story. Yeah.
But allergic to bullshit.
Yeah. And though there are multiple sex interactions in the game, all the heterosexual ones just fade to black, like a normal video game RPG should. Right? I remember that's how Fable handled it.
But they don't do that for the
But not for the gay sex scene, which is graphic and intense. And then it fades to black. After being really intense and graphic. And those are underage boys. And it's funny that they're retroactively making them 20 now. So Come Deliverance 2 happens 5 days after the first game. So you can't get out of that. They were underage according to the first codex in the first game, which means it's only 5 days later in the next game. So they remain where they're at. And why you have to understand that this is on purpose, okay? And why do they do it? Well, it seems so dumb. Why make a character who is animated to look like a full adult, but is actually a teenager? And why make the graphics gay sex scene and what? Because these people are part of the old Hollywood crowd. All right, they're trying to buy up video game space. What do you think the DEI stuff's coming from and whatnot? When it's not China undermining all their competition, those like they're such sneaky. But I can't. Like, if your competition's gonna be that dumb, like I can't. It's not just them, right? They noticed the predilection, so they put some more money that way as well. BlackRock's more of a Western creation. Anyway, going to what I'm trying to get at, if Indiana Jones, for example, they made Indiana Jones have an underage relationship with the main first female love interest. When they're talking, they literally say, she says, I was a child, and she was like 13, and they wanted her to be like, it was 11. Like, they wanted her younger than 10. And him to be like 20 or 30 when it's happening. I think it was like supposed to be 30. When you see them in the first movie, right? It doesn't seem so bad because Indiana Jones looks like he's just a few years older than her. No. He's like 15 years older than her. And they started when she was like 13, 11. I forget the exact ages. And I do remember that both George Lucas and Steven Spielberg wanted the character younger. And, that goes way over your head as a kid. It goes over the head of the parents. If my parents knew that, they would have never let me watch Indiana Jones. Never even once. Besides the fact that I had nightmares about that stuff when I was a kid. I couldn't handle it. Not from the first one. The second one gave me nightmares as a kid because all the hoodoo voodoo magic.
Oh.
And, you know, the appropriate way the way you can also tell
That's not nice.
that Indiana Jones was always like a Jewy creation was the first game was all about Jewish stuff, right? The Ark of the Covenant, no mention of Christ. Christ never mentioned. No real Crusaders even mentioned. The bad guys, the Nazis. Right. The bad guys are the Nazis. Nazi. Bad guys are always the Nazis, right? So the Jews as boogeymen from hell.
You know why Hitler got all these who had glasses? Because they could not see.
Oh my god. They not see.
I just thought of that one.
Why so we're proud.
Right.
But
she's stupid.
So, yeah. But when the darkness or whatever business comes in, like when you have the really dark stuff in East Asia and whatnot, it's not like a counter Christian force that wins, right? Indiana Jones doesn't bring a cross with him and it beats the evil. No, it's a side Buddhist faction that wins, right? It's the science that wins. It still never explains why the dude who can rip people's hearts out just with his hands and does it multiple times can't rip out Indiana Jones's heart. It makes no damn sense. Why? Is he just strong?
I really did not pay any attention.
No, you weren't paying any attention at all. There was a freaking human sacrifice where the dude rips out his heart and then lights him on fire. I don't understand.
I vaguely remember that, but
how the man is still screaming when his heart's out. Anyway, the point is, yeah, that whole scene scared me as a child for obvious reasons. Yeah. What I'm getting at here is there's always been this agenda to push the ages younger. Push them younger. Like, notice they had Indiana Jones in that situation with that character in such a way that the average person would just assume she was like 18 and he was like 25. And he was wary of the world, right? Something, the age difference not being that bad. It wouldn't be that situation. A normal person doesn't assume, oh, she was freaking 11. Right? That's not what the normal person assumes. And they're playing off that. So what are they actually achieving? Well, they're slowly pushing the culture. They can look back in the future and say things like, oh, look, it was always in these characters. They were always like this. Look here. It's always this push. Younger and younger. Consent. And it always leads to the same place. Whenever you let any sort of depravity of the sexual sense go, it always gets pushed in this general direction. Because the slippery slope is real, my friends. And the funny thing is, it's never actually been a logical fallacy. I know my logic class called it a logical fallacy, but that never made any sense. Because it's just a logical syllogism that's expanded upon. And I know that was a funky word, and my students would probably say, Principal, I need my dictionary. What is a syllogism? And that's just to say a logical equation. If A, then B, so C. Hey!
Bring my logic book to me.
It's very simple. So, if I drink Dr. Pepper, I consume caffeine, then I stay awake longer. See? A was if I drink Dr. Pepper. Then B, I drink caffeine, equals C, I stay up later. Right? That's all a syllogism is. And all the slippery slope is you put the syllogisms in a row. So
you put multiple.
In this case, right, if you take out sexual morality for one deprived act, i.e. Homosexuality, right, then what stops them from making other deprived acts, other sexual deprived acts acceptable? Nothing, because you broke the original morality that prevented those sexualities from happening. So they're saying, well, if you're allowing the gay stuff, why can't you allow the lesbian stuff? I know you get the point. Like, if you're allowing the male gays, why can't we have the lesbian stuff? Right? What's the difference here? They love each other too. And we see where that goes. That goes to, oh, if you allow this and that, you must allow the tranny stuff and hack off dicks. And then the natural progression to that is, well, hey, this dude loves a 15-year-old. He could basically consent. The consent law is only a couple years away. They just love each other. And then it goes lower and lower till there is no...
Feels disturbed by your voice.
He should be, because I'm using my disturbing voice. And he turned on my computer, so we have weird lighting now. Thank you, cat. Cat attack. And so, what you get in the end is all sexual depravity, to even the animal stuff. What do you think furries are? Right? That's the start to that. Ugh. To the pedophilia of all kinds. And it all goes back to that original step where you allowed sexual immorality. And it follows because everything that was, if you can think of it like this, the foundation is that morality that says sexual deprivation, sexual immorality, bad. And this is all the stuff that is bad. If you take away that foundation, the whole house of cards is going to fall. It may take some time, but it eventually gets there. And this is the way they did it. This is the way, the little things here and there. Oh, let's make Anakin in Star Wars like 10 when he meets his future wife, who's like 20. Like, I don't know what the official ages were, right? Maybe she's supposed to be like 15 or something, but no. That is clearly a 20-ish looking year old woman who is with a 10-year-old. And if you know anything about 10-year-old boys, they will have crushes on 20-year-old women. Does that mean a 20-year-old woman should marry the 10-year-old? No. No. Absolutely not. We would think that was depraved. But no, right? In Star Wars, we look the other way. Even though, again, though it was nice about the prequel trilogies was the world building. Everything else about it was, the pacing was slow. The characters were made really weird because there was a lot of people don't know this. There was like a normalizing factor in the original trilogy. The original trilogy wasn't just George Lucas. There was a lot of people around him that was helping him translate it for the average audience, so the average person could enjoy it, right?
And his wife got annoyed at him.
Yeah, he got a divorce with his wife and a lot of the people, I listened to some of the interviews, said that George Lucas's first wife was a calming influence, helped translate his thoughts into normal behavior. So without her around, there was no one to tell him, maybe Anakin should at least be 13, maybe 16. Huh? Yeah. maybe a little.
Was that to be even a thing?
Yeah. I always thought it was weird as a child. Yeah. Who thinks that's just a normal? And the answer is pedophiles. The stuff around Spielberg is nasty, and George Lucas was one of his best friends. Okay, you go down.
Indiana Jones stuff got into Disneyland before the Star Wars stuff.
That's true.
Now it all makes sense.
Well, it was all pretty much there at the same time, but Disney didn't own it. There was always a Star Wars ride. I always enjoyed the Star Wars ride. That was funny as a kid.
But
yeah, I remember
there before they owned it.
They had one Star Wars themed ride. They didn't own it, but there was one Disneyland Star Wars ride.
I remember that.
Yeah. I don't know when Disney bought it.
Was it just because it was the...
Oh, it was like shared trademark stuff, basically. That makes any sense.
Oh, yeah.
They would pay
Oh,
the
of
owners
course.
of
Yeah,
Star
yeah,
Wars
yeah,
and the
yeah.
owners of Indiana Jones to have their
It's no
rides and
accident
their
that they have
themes.
it in that one thing.
Yeah. I enjoyed that simulator as a kid.
I
think
know, but like still,
I don't know. I'm on board.
you look
Oh, the
like
kids park, yeah.
you look at the George Lucas's face now, and even back then, something was weird about him.
My wife is watch out, people. She'll find your face too.
Hmm.
She's actually usually pretty right about this stuff, I've found. So that was a long way around to say that's what's going on here. It's just a subtle push of the culture, and it was very purposely done. Very purposely done to make the acceptance happen more and more and more. And I'm actually quite angry, not only at all the YouTubers who were like trying to destroy John Delarose, all the bots and all the freaks who were paid to go around and harass people like me who were just, pointing out that maybe we don't want gay sex in our video games.
What was really
Whoa.
interesting was how they tried to bring up the history part of it, and then all of a sudden you reread the.
Yeah. And then they changed it because they were scared because they had broken the law that time. And they were basically hoping nobody would notice. But somebody in their legal department went, actually, guys, we could go to jail or lose our entire thing and have to give all the money back if somebody from these countries starts noticing. Which I find hilarious. Oh, man. So, the Pedo Saga of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, I want you guys to remember, they've changed the codexes now. He's now 20 years old. No, they very much wanted him to be a 15-year-old boy. They purposely wanted it to be a gay sex scene. They purposely made it very graphic, and they purposely pushed it in multiple outlets. This was the point. This was the thing. And their shield was the libertarian, stupid tard shield. Like, if you don't allow this, you can't like anything. Like, you can't enjoy this. You have to take it out. Like, it's the typical, what's going on in their bedroom doesn't bother you, except for the fact that they're literally projecting their bedroom into video games now. And it turns out to be something we should care about since it was pedophilic. And their defense for it wasn't, oh, we made a mistake on the codex, or we forgot he was underage, let's fix this. No, their answer was, you realize that there were multiple cases of pedophilia in the medieval times, and it was accepted in certain circles. That's your defense, that at some point in history pedophile existed, so therefore we should put pedophilia in our video games. I love this. I love this disgusting, stupid argument because it's so easy to tear down. You realize every deprived thing you could ever imagine has happened in history. Does that mean I should just put it everywhere? Does that mean it's nice of me to put it up? I mean, from that logic,
I read the Bible and I know what it says about this stuff.
So here we are here.
Should I actually be tying millstones now if I find one?
Yeah, accurate.
Because it was historically accurate according to that thing.
It was historically accurate, according to some people, that Jews were gassed to death. I guess we better show it in all our video games now. Right? I mean, it was in the history, baby. I should be able to make jokes about it too. In history, people have joked about the Holocaust. Clearly, I could just gas a bunch of Jews right in front of everyone, and it should be totally fine. Oh, wait, right. That's not acceptable, even though it happened in history. Ha, ha, ha. See.
Millstone preach.
Felix! I'm glad you're here, man. Sorry about the long pause and the confusion and everything, but I'm glad you're here. They need a visit from the Millstone Patrols, exactly. And again, to no one's great surprise, this developer and the guy who was purposely saying that 12-year-old girls were given off in marriage and watched during their first sex, leaving off the part that this was very specific moments in political marriages, not the average. The normal person didn't have someone watching them while they had their first sex. This was a situation where the lineage was very important, i.e.,
make sure it's the grandson.
make sure the grandson is related to you who's on the throne, basically, if that makes sense. And even then, there was probably something questionable going on with that too. And this was not the norm. This did not happen all the time. It's hilarious to me the amount of times they will nitpick something in history. Oh, it's happened once. It's happened once. And it generally doesn't happen the way they say. Generally. Anyway, I should move on to future topics, but I wanted to get this all out there. Fandom Pulse was doing God's work the whole time. Thank you, John Della Rose. Amazing person for sticking to this. I want everyone to remember they were trying to cancel the man again. Was this like the 10th cancellation attempt for that guy?
I've lost count.
It's
I've
so
lost
funny.
count. It's more than 10.
The only guy who seems to get canceled more is either Owen Benjamin or Vox. And they
Again, lost count.
lost count. And this time because he didn't want underage gay graphic sex scene in a video game. Now, I want to also clarify something here. This is why things like... Thanks, dog.
Fat dog.
Shake it off. This is why I bring this stuff up. This is why libertarianism fails and doesn't defend anything and is just... It's a fake thing. A libertarian is either a man in transition into another philosophy. Fox was like that. I was like that when I was younger. Hopefully my uncle will be like that. We'll get into that another time. And or a man who wants his vice and he doesn't want anyone to get in the way of his vice. Really, dog? Anyone to get in the way of his vice, and he will defend literally anything to keep his vice. Understand? That's why they don't defend it, right? That's why if you look at their whole thing, it's keep everyone rich. They don't know how to do that anyway, but that's the idea. Keep everyone rich, allow all the vices. That's all it is. Either you are in transition to a more mature philosophy that's actually a philosophy, like you've been seduced by the honeyed words, the keep out of my business, that kind of talk. We all like that talk. Don't keep government out of our business. We like that stuff, right? I'm on board. However, that's the lure. That's the bait. That's the thing to get you in the door and lock you in and make you think you need to believe this stuff and you need to allow all this other stuff if you don't. Like, they want you to think that to have proper warrants or to not have government overreach into your church or whatever, you have to allow the tranny striptease in the preschool. Right? That's what they want you to believe. That's what libertarianism turns into. And what it was before was you have to allow all the gays and the abortion crap to make sure that the government doesn't come into your church. Right? It doesn't come in and bother you. You can't bother them if you want to not be bothered yourself. Oh, and what did we learn? What did we learn, children? We learned that you will be bothered anyway. And they'll still have all their crap. And they'll push their crap on you if you don't stop them. That's what we learned. And the libertarian doesn't care because A, right? He's either in transition and he'll start to care and he won't be a libertarian anymore, or B, he's just a man of vice. He's just there for the boobs. He's just there for the violence. He's just there for whatever alcohol consumption, free abortion, or whatever it is he wants, right? He's just there for that. So he doesn't care what all this other stuff does. He doesn't care about the pedophilia. He doesn't care about the destruction of society. He just wants his vice. That's it. This is why I tell people when they're dealing with libertarians to just call them out for being porn addicts. Because if they are in transition, you're going to shake their foundations because they're going to go, wait a minute, I don't have a philosophy on this. Right? It's going to be that, like, wait, I don't actually want this in society. And I can't help but watch the fact that we've kept our end of the bargain. We've kept out of their business, but they haven't kept out of our business. The churches stopped getting in everyone's business and allowed the porn shows. They allowed all the crap. They allowed the abortions over there, right?
The witchcraft now.
Right? We allowed it. And what was the first thing they did? Oh, yeah, they came and started to try to put all that in our churches and take over our churches and close our churches and COVID and all that crap, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
The libertarian has nothing. And he was either always going to change and was just on his way out, or he just always wanted the boobs. And generally, it's always pornography. So call them out on that. They don't really have a philosophy. They really don't care about that. They're either already getting bothered by it and thus changing, or they just wanted the boobs to begin with. So call them out. Don't engage on them in a philosophical talk, because that's their trap. They're just trying to get you to question your own resolve because they don't want their vice outlawed. They don't want to be called out for their vice. That's it. That's all it is. Woo! That feels good. And this is why it's important. This is why it's important. Because things like Indiana Jones should have never been allowed to be made. I know, it sounds horrible to say that now. It's easier to say it now because they destroyed the franchise, right? The franchise is dead. They murdered it. It's almost as zombie-like as Harrison Ford himself these days. And it needs a walker, but it's already dead. Like it's like the future version of Harrison Ford. It's already in the grave. It's gone. And it should have never been allowed to exist. Or it should have been forcefully taken away from Spielberg and changed on these details. Why? Because it pushed that pedophilia. There's no way around it. That Maria person was right. They purposely put that in there to slowly push people's mindsets. That the way the Overton window works. If you don't know what that is, that's what culture accepts. Just 10 years ago. Think about this, right? When Gamergate started, could you have imagined a guy like me making those Holocaust jokes that I just made in this video? Right, you could. Dude, Mel Gibson's career was almost completely tanked because he had a drunk rant about Jews one night.
It's hilarious.
Right, now we think that's hilarious. Now we think it's funny. Like, you listen to it now, you're like, oh yeah, that's actually kind of tame.
Very tame.
Right, that's the Overton window. Right, the Overton window has now shifted. That the acceptances are different, and it's a fractal thing. Boomers are still in this cycle where they're kind of back in that day where if you mention anything like that, you'll get kicked out of society, and they're shocked when nobody follows them because they're slowly becoming the minority and they're losing all their power and they're scared. No, there's a sequel to Passion. The window has shifted indeed. Yeah, exactly. And this is how they push the Overton window, because if you remember, right, not too long ago, the Overton window was getting really scary. Like, trannies, holy crap, now the cat jumped on the table where the computer is. Is there nothing sacred with you things? Oh, you gonna sniff my Dr. Pepper? Really?
That's the last thing you need. Well, yours.
Zoomy is with a cat. Run away. Because he's gonna start making Holocaust jokes himself. It's funny. As a principal now, I actually have to stop those jokes inside the school, and I'm like, man, I'm the man now. I don't want to. That's a really conservative organization. So, I'm coming into the organization. Whatever. It's one of those things. I'm like, it's a small thing.
Fox, we can't have fun anymore. We can't even have the SSH wordings.
I know. They know, like, apparently, yeah. Like, I heard the kids singing Sigma Boy, and then another kid was like, "You can't say that. We can't say Sigma anymore." And I'm like, "This is crazy." That was hilarious. Anyway, this is like 10-year-olds, by the way, like singing the Sigma Boy song, and I'm laughing to myself. And apparently, there was a whole debacle about some kid saying Sigma and some mom sick of it and just declaring we're not saying it anymore. Dang it. Doesn't that sound like... What do we got, Felix? Great way to test the window is Lewis Hamilton. World F1 driver champion. Last time a Brit. Purposely in the side. I don't even know what he's referencing, and I'm laughing because it sounds hilarious. That's how you know you have a good joke. Anyway, the way they shift the Overton window, because the people we're dealing with understood how culture worked long before we had the term Overton window. The way they do it is these little things they sprinkle into the culture that slowly push it, and they get people attached to it. Like Indiana Jones is legitimately a great... the first three are a great set of movies, especially if you've never seen anything really like that yet. As a young mind, you hadn't seen some of the older adventure stuff like the Tarzans and all that, and the stuff that Indiana Jones was based on. If you don't have that, your mind's gonna go whoosh! Wow, that's so cool! Whips, sexy women, running away from boulders in exotic locations. Cool, right? They sprinkle it into actual good material and then push the culture. So you have to be willing to, unlike the libertarian, unlike a lot of the video game types we have right now on the political spectrum and YouTube, to say, yeah, this video game's good, but the politics are bad. We need to get rid of it. I know that. I know. I'm. If I were more popular right now, I'd be non grata. Whatever you call that thing where everyone instantly hates you. Suggesting that we scrap something that's good just because of its politics. No, we have to do that. And the first thing was like, oh, the far right. He's the far right. They're a full circle of the horseshoe. No, because though I might realize the same tactics have to be used, I'm not putting gay sex in video games. These are your choices. Eventually, you will be forced to have pedo gay sex in video games when it's not even an RPG. They're just going to force it in. Like, look at the games like the Dragon Age Veilguard or whatever it was, right? This medieval fantasy, and this weird demon character sits down with its mom and goes, "So I'm non-binary." Like, what? I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. That is exactly how it starts. There's a table. Your character in the RPG is sitting there. The mother is right there. She's some sort of political leader. This character who's part of your party sits down, looks at the table with no preamble and goes, "So I'm non-binary." The best meme I've seen of that is Family Guy, where it has the classic scene where he goes,
Who starts a conversation like that?
I just sat down. Does that? That's what you'll have. And it won't matter the video game. It'll be a racing game. And the character that you just beat will come out of his car and say something in French. And the next thing I am non-binary. Let's have sex or something. Like, that'll be what it'll be. He's I'm just trying to play an F1 racer game. What is this? And the answer is, if you're not willing to get rid of all of their crap, then they're going to sprinkle it in, and push the Overton window back to the point where they're accepted again. And you're being kicked out of your mother's basement because of a bad joke. Oh, yeah, that's not so bad. Kicked out of your high-rise apartment, you sexy fellow. Not even allowed into it. Not even allowed to own property because...
You're try.
Okay, let's see what Felix says. Felix says it was the July 7th bus bombings in Britain. In the follow-up, cops chased down and shot him. Whoa! That sounds oddly familiar, like the guy the Italian dude who supposedly assassinated the CEO guy, right? The Pfizer CEO. I don't know if he was Pfizer, whatever, medical CEO dude. Right. Like that. No, I don't believe Luigi did it at all.
Oh, the CEO of the medical thing.
Yeah. It's funny. Most people are illiterate about things. There is literally a book. Fahrenheit 4 some number.
No. Please don't.
He's like, I want my. Oh, you look so cute. Anyway,
Don't you go over here. You
where there is a scene in this
Without
book,
me.
right? It's one of those.
Get down.
Kind of like George Orwell, right? It's in the same vein, but George Orwell didn't do it. Yeah, Fahrenheit 451. Do you remember the scene at the end of the book?
Cat and you.
Right, where they're chasing him down and they're going to kill him with the robot, but he manages to escape. What happens? Do the cops admit that the fugitive escaped? No, they send the robot after an innocent man that they knew was already a disruptor that they could blame for everything, because it was not acceptable for them to admit on live TV that they were able to catch somebody.
Away from the table.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Luigi situation. They couldn't catch the guy who actually killed the CEO because he got away clean. Like, just, you look at it, there's no way that dude even stayed in the country. I mean, come on, there's a billion different ports he could have gone into. He was probably in Canada by the time the whole search started. The idea that he's going to be caught in a public restaurant that he could have called Uber Eats for is stupid. No, they snatched a guy who they thought they could blame for it. And the new stuff has moved on. And they're going to just blame him. It's just Fahrenheit 451. That's all it is. And that's hilarious to me. I mean, I feel bad for the Luigi guy. Also, be careful, gentlemen, because obviously we're on a list for that kind of thing as well. Lovely. But I'm pretty sure they picked him specifically because he's a foreign national and there's not a lot of people around who can speak up for him, right? That's why they picked him. Anyway, be safe, gents. Don't get blamed for murders you didn't commit. So, and don't get caught for the ones you definitely didn't commit.
Rosie.
Yeah, dog. Whew.
Stop chasing little bunnies.
I'm starting to realize I might have. I'm getting excited into the stream. I might have should have just picked one of my topics and not three. Sort of thought this topic might have ended faster.
I haven't streamed for weeks.
It's true. I have so much more to talk about. It is a video game stream, so I thought I should at least talk about a couple of video games, not just the philosophy about what you allow in your society. But it is a sticky subject. Like, you go too prudish, and you actually create a problem where you're easily mocked. And anyone looking at it doesn't want any part of it. And you can, that gives them a window to push the Overton window. Too many windows. That gives them an opportunity to push the Overton window. What did they do with Puritans? How did they make, right? The whole Puritan situation, right? The light on the hill, all that. They destroyed those people's reputations, even though they really weren't. They legitimately just made really nice cities on hills. It's like, oh, the Salem witch trials. Yeah, and if you go through all the lore of like witchcraft around the time, there is just a whole course of witches that pop up who all ran into the frontier. Like, you know why there's so much witch? Most people actually don't even know this. There's a lot of witchcraft in the Appalachian Mountains. And it stems from the Salem witch trials. Because after the Salem witch trials, all the witches ran because they were worried it was going to happen to them next. And where did they run to? They ran to the frontier, which at that time was the Appalachian Mountain chain. And you have all this stuff in like the mountain culture there, the hillbillies and whatnot, mixed with whatever Scots-Irish stuff they brought with them, of witchcraft tied to the Salem. Like the classic story is this witch lady showed up running from the Salem witch trials, and there's been weird haunted stuff at these cabins and caves ever since. That is the classic archetype. You'll be surprised how much you hear that all along the Appalachian Mountains. What does that tell you? That tells you that there was a lot of freaking witches, and they ran when the Salem witch trials happened. Furthermore, modern witches kind of called themselves out because there was this movie. depicted in that time frame, in that time, and and witches were the villains, and they were attacking this family, and they like sacrificed a baby in like the first scene. Horrific. And the witches were all like, "Yeah, that's real witchcraft." I'm not kidding. I love all this stuff. Like the Overton window is so wild to me. They could say that this was years ago. This was back before, I was still kind of feeling out libertarianism and then like moving my philosophy, upgrading, maturing, shall we say?
Maturing is better.
Yeah, maturing is probably the right word. Out of that philosophy, I was in transition. I never fully went to it because I was always a weird one who still thought drugs should never be legalized. I was still back then, even when I was wanting some of the liberalisms. And wow, I forget exactly when it was. A lot of things happened. It blows my mind that they could do that, and witches weren't seen as evil after that. Like, shouldn't that have been the next logical step? Everyone goes, "Oh, you guys are oh, well, thank you for telling us." But no, because the Overton window tells us that witches are just misidentified, misunderstood old ladies in the woods who are just sharing medical knowledge.
I mean, I bet it started from that.
No.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like sometimes some people get too close to the herbs and the stuff, and then it goes on from there.
Remember that bait and switch I was telling about libertarianism? Well, that's the bait and switch for those people who want to do good. But think about it. If they really wanted to do good, why are they going to witchcraft for it?
Why are they using some?
Yeah, why? And when things get creepy and weird, why do they stay in witchcraft? Right? Witches, like several witch organizations would, yeah, that's what Wiccanism is all about, that baby sacrificing bit and harassing this family. No, they would say, oh, it's the independence of the woman and the Puritans' crushing ways. That's they're like under attack by a coven of witches for just existing. Hilarious. I find that so funny. And that is also the power of culture.
I'm just thinking.
Like, they can tell you to your face exactly what they are. And people still won't believe. It's nuts. Anyway.
Probably just thinking about your sister.
Yeah,
that's fine. The medical stuff.
It's true.
The herbal stuff. That's where I'm coming from. That's when I started noticing it in her posts.
Yeah. And by the way, you don't have to be a witch to understand herbs.
No, you don't.
Shocker. What? Funny how that works.
But if you start burning sage, I'm gonna murder you. I'm not murder you.
Not murder? What? Millstones. Anyway.
Millstone, yeah.
This has always been the materialistic view, because the materialistic view, despite what they would say, is like all religion's bad. No. Specific religions were bad to them. And they were always tied to the Eastern religions. So this is why, from the materialist point of view for so long, and the propagandist view, what was it? Oh, those poor women being burned for just trying to help people with their sage advice, their herbs, right? Because to them, witches must just be misunderstood doctors of the day. Oh, no, I still have these stupid shorts pop up. It's like, a woman knows how to do math. Burn her at the stake. No, you morons. That's not how it went. It's so dumb. Because there's a difference. The amount of females who were in medical type trades, even in the medieval era, was quite large. Even in Spain.
There are these things called midwives.
Yeah. A lot.
They're not witches.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
And it's funny that when you actually read history, you'll find situations. For example,
was Florence Nightingale.
That's classic, right? For no, she wasn't a witch, but
No,
again,
she wasn't.
nurse. So that's later on. If we're going medieval, I could go 1800s, like when I was reading about the Napoleon, the wars in Spain with Napoleon and all that. There's this one town that gets besieged, and a lady who is like working as a nurse and various other things, her fiance gets killed trying to fire a cannon. Like this. They're about to get overrun. This French are coming in. He sacrifices himself, but he can't get the cannon off. She either takes a gun and like kills some Frenchmen or something, and then gets to the cannon and lights it in like a furious act of "How dare you kill my man" kind of thing. And it was filled with grape shots. So she's like slaughtered like 50 dudes who were all clumped up, and that actually saved the town. She was made like a military officer from that position. By the way, the Inquisition was still in existence back then. They still had an office in Spain at that time period. It's okay. My wife's getting all sad thinking about it. Yeah, I felt for her too. She did good. I mean,
that's the kind of anger that will actually lead you to act.
Yeah.
And that's the one that they try to
yeah,
undermine and say, you shouldn't have any anger.
Never. The pedo might actually get punished for something for once. Like if I hear another libertarian type of person says, "Oh, the courts," and I'm just sitting there going, "The courts will do what?" In my entire life, I have never seen my short time period, I guess, in the modern era, I have never even seen one of these high-class pedos actually go down for something and not get suicided to make sure the rest of them don't go down with them. Not even once. What are the courts going to do, hotshot? Nothing. Nothing. Because they've always done nothing. And they're designed now to do nothing.
Who gives the bigger bread?
Yeah.
Still.
What is the classic line that Vox says? The law is whatever some co-ed who killed half her babies in abortions wants it to be. The judge. Now, what you do with that information, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is right now. I know what it will be in the future. But I won't say here. Anyway, I will say, the Bible makes it very clear that God does not care if your judges were doing it, and you basically what I mean by that is if your judges do it and you don't stop them, you get punished with the judges. If you think I'm wrong, start reading the book of Isaiah. The amount of times that God says your judges are corrupt, they take bribes, they do this, they oppress the poor, they do that, they do this, and you do nothing. What were they supposed to do? The courts, right? The courts were doing. The courts are the law. What is God saying? What is he mad about? He's mad that they didn't stop them anyway. Oh, by the way, did you know that one of the judges, not the court judges, but the violent judges, was an assassin? Oh, yeah. Ehud. Just without God's call, by the way. Without God's call. He acted on his own, and God blessed him for it. He just stabs a king. He's giving him the tribute, and he says, "Hey, I got a message for you, big boy." Big fat guy. He was a fat king, and the fat king comes over and says, "It's from God." Dead. Closes the door. All the servants think the king's in the bathroom, and he escapes out the window and starts a rebellion. God blessed him for that. God did not tell him to kill the king. Ehud did that on his own. We know this because other judges were told to do things like that. Ehud just acted, and God blessed him for it. That's crazy. It's a little different than the modern Christian. And the first thing they always want to say is, "Oh, it's the New Testament now, guys. It's different. It's different now."
If you read the New Testament, some of it is repeated.
Don't read the whole Revelations part where Jesus himself comes back and slaughters so many people that there's a freaking river of blood.
I remember you brought it up with your mom. She's like, "Oh, I think you need to reread the Bible."
I do, and it was still definitely a river of blood, as high as a horse's bridle, just a good 5-6 feet, depending on the type of horse we're talking about. That's a deep river of blood, people. That's a lot of dead people. And it also kind of marks something that a lot of people want to ignore about the end times. It's a very physical war. Jesus doesn't come back in a spiritual way. He comes back in a physical way with a physical army and goes stabby stab, bang bang, lightning from heaven, sword coming out of the mouth. Who knows how much of that is metaphorical, because some of Revelation certainly is metaphorical. Felix says, I do love the occasional frowning Jesus message. Yes. And it's funny, when you read Revelations, then you read back the Gospels, you realize all the times that Jesus is like warning people like, yo, I'm here right now as an olive branch. I'm here right now to complete what my Father is telling me to complete. When I come again, this isn't going to be pretty. Like his gloves come off. I have not come to bring peace but a sword. Remember that part? Remember the part where he's like, if you don't have a sword, you better go sell your cloak and buy one? My uncle right now is like all about, when I was talking about that with him, he was like, self-defense. And I'm like, okay, but why do you need self-defense? Are you suggesting that God can't stop the criminal who breaks into your house? Can't protect you? Can't keep the bullets away from you? Of course he can. So what do you need the self-defense for? What's going on here? Doesn't God have the whole world in his hands? I actually had this argument ages ago on SG too.
I remember that.
And it's funny how people don't click. Like, I didn't think I'd be talking about religion so much right now. But hey, well, we're going to go where we go. We'll talk about Splitgate and start this in at least the last 15 minutes or so. Luckily, it's the start of spring break for us. So, woo! Working in the school system, man. I never want to hear my teacher's sister ever complain again. This
teacher's sister?
My sister was a teacher, remember?
Teacher's sister?
Did I say that wrong? My sister, who was a teacher, used to complain about her workload, and she was full of shit.
She still is.
Like, don't get me wrong. I sometimes I sit in my office and I go,
that's why I don't talk to her.
Yeah, and I go, I feel like I need to be doing more. What am I doing wrong? I want to, my family's involved with the school. I want to do a good job, but sometimes I sit down and I go,
want to give me some work?
Come on, come on, send a kid to the office. Let's go. No, not that.
Have him read a leather-bound book as a punishment.
Yes. Then they all want to come. I've already learned that. Anyway. Pedo says, Dad, prepare the meteor shower. It's funny because all the demons know, right? What did they do when Jesus came? Whenever they flipped out, they went, is it time? Are we going to die? Are we going to be tortured? Is this it? He's here. What do we do? They know what it means. Why do you think the devil took the opportunity to kill him when he did? Right? He took the opportunity because he was terrified. Think about, it's funny, I just wrote stuff about this. I need to hold back a little bit because I should be saving this for our streams and our Sunday school streams. But think about the temptations of Christ. Your excuse. What is the devil trying to do? Right? He's trying to get Jesus on his side, one. Two, he's trying to break Jesus's connection to God by getting him to sin, to question things, to test God, right? So what did he think the cross was? This is me kind of speculating, but why did the devil do it? Why did he think the cross was going to work? Because he thought Jesus had lost his connection to God. Remember that part on the cross where he goes, Abba, Abba, why have you forsaken me? Right? It hits me now as I even say it. That was part of the thing. They wanted the devil to think that Jesus had sinned in some way. And he was open game. He was fair game. It was time. And he could win over him. Otherwise, why would the devil have even tried? He didn't try to kill him in the desert. Why didn't he try to kill him then? He tried to kill him when he was young, when he was a baby, when he was like 2 years old, he tried to kill him. Right when he was vulnerable. Why, to me, it's obvious that the cross was a trap, a trick, like a God beating the devil at his own game, because the devil is the ultimate lawyer, the ultimate stickler to the rules, and get you in that little loophole thing in the legal, spiritual laws, if that makes sense. And God beat him at his own game, tricked him into jumping into the hole. And there's something so poetic about God beating the devil at his own game, and then saying, "Now I'm going to come back after I'm done, and I'm going to just murder you. I'm going to lock you up. And then when the rest of those freaks who are on your side show themselves, you're all gone." First I beat you at the game you tried, and I show you I'm better at it. Then I'm just going to end it all. By the way, I'm coming back, sucker. It's like there's like the devil's head is in a guillotine and it's just hanging over there, and there's like it's like a Bond villain with like the rope slowly being cut or burned by a candle or something, and he doesn't know when it's gonna fall, and he's desperately trying to get out of the guillotine or weaken the guillotine. Like all the stuff. Like notice how there seems to be this weird faction trying to start the Holocaust in the evil camps, right? It's because they think they can win. They think if they do it just right, they can win. That's the devil, like trying to saw at the supports of the guillotine, not understanding like that everything's going to kill him anyway, or knowing that and just desperate. It's funny. God, you guys triggered something in me, and I'm talking about all kinds of stuff and things I've even talked about in previous streams. But hey, here's what you're in for, baby. Come back next week on Friday next time.
I didn't remember.
Friday.
Well,
we'll stream Monday. Okay. Yeah, we'll stream. I won't be able to get the Sunday school lesson up Sunday. I'm going to try and just get it all up Monday, and we can go over it Monday. Luckily, it's spring break, though, so I should have time Tuesdays, too. Do I still have board meetings?
Yeah,
What's up with
Monday
that?
Is good because...
Yeah, well, the point is I can get it all up. We'll at least stream about it on Monday. It depends on how tomorrow goes. We're prospecting and all that. Yeah, my cousins prospect. They're cool. I like those guys. Anyway. Come on. Sure. Everyone prospects in Arizona. It's a rule. Anyway. There are, as you probably know, multiple factions of evil out there, all under the devil's umbrella. And a faction that doesn't seem to be in as much favor, right? The Jews are the favorite butt boys right now, and some other groups. I love calling them. You should mock them for it. They're their favorite butt boy right now, and you'll pick it over.
Yeah, literally the game that they just you've been talking about.
Yeah, favorite butt boys.
They're
obsessed with it. Disgusting. God. Anyway. Well, thanks for bringing the video game back in and reminding me we were still talking about video games. Anyway, but the other faction is the Eastern religion faction. So you get them filtering in all the time. What's different about them is you'll notice their philosophy is all about balance. But
what it turns angry apparently.
Right. It's all about mellowness and balance and disconnection from your physical body and all the rest.
So being passive aggressive.
No, just passive. Not even passive aggressive.
Oh, wow. Right. Yeah, they don't have aggression. I forget.
Well, they do, ironically. Some of the worst wars in Chinese history were about Buddhists. And yeah, Buddhism...
Angry Chinese ladies, you run.
Angry Buddhists. So that's one irony I've brought up before, is the fact that some of the worst wars known to man in China, is in general, worst Buddhist rebellions. Yet Buddhism was never outlawed in China. There's one Christian revolt, and it's a bad one, don't get me wrong, but one Christian revolt by a nut job who calls himself the brother of Christ, all those other things. Chinese man calling himself the brother of Christ. It's hilarious. Yeah, he wasn't a very bright guy, but he caused a lot of problems, right? Yeah, one rebellion, and they outlawed Christianity. We're talking dozens of bloody wars, even some of the cannibalism mixed in, caused by Buddhism. Buddhism's never outlawed. One conflict with Christians, Christianity's outlawed. One. And and like most things in these situations, Christianity was not the main cause. This guy was If I remember correctly, the guy who called himself the brother of Jesus, don't quote me on this, I don't even remember his name. He tried to join the government. They kicked him out, said you weren't smart enough, and he said, screw you, I'm the brother of Christ, I'm going to kill all of you. That's basically what it was. It was a political argument. And because there was a lot of starvation, a lot of the peasants were being used for a lot of crap, there was a lot of people who were not happy with the current state of things. Christianity was just tacked on top of it to give it some religious fervor to the rebellion. That's all.
Religious what word?
Fervor. It's like zealotry. Fervor. Take a fever. Fervor. You're just like the kids at the school who are gonna want me to demand I have a dictionary. I'm gonna have to just hold a dictionary in my mouth and say, "There's the word." Oh wait, that's my phone.
Maybe the dictionary is in your phone.
I should just have a physical one anyway. It's more fun.
I should try using that word in Scramble.
Fervor. Yeah, it's Ferver.
Like server, but fur.
Yep. F instead of S.
Apparently here they can't spell center right.
That's true. There's a street called Center with an S. Drives me crazy every time I pass it. Like, what is this? What are you doing?
Scent as in earth. You can say sender.
And
what
do they call
sender?
Centaur. Contar? Cuntar.
Contour.
Cuntar. Sounds like a joke in Star Wars. Cuntar. Anyway, all Cuntars aside.
Contour.
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 I'm putting cunt in there, okay? You're not going to get away from it. There's a reason why they don't share my YouTube streams. Not all of them are illegitimate. There are some legitimate reasons. That's probably one. Anyway, so my cat's judging me. Anyway, so where was I?
Well, I tried bringing
Centaur distracted me, Miss Centaur's
You're
centaur
talking
lady.
about the Chinese and the Christians.
Oh yeah, that was a tangent.
And then
Anyway,
why did I almost say Chinese butt boys?
Oh, I was trying to explain the other big faction split, the East Asian one. Right? Why do they want balance? And it always turns into a balance between good and evil, right? They call it the yin and yang. They call it light and darkness, right? Technically, if you hear them right, the light and the dark isn't evil and good, but it always turns into that. It always is. Why do they want a balance between good and evil? Well, the answer is they want to push the apocalypse off indefinitely. What is it, right? What always happens when there's no balance? Like the destruction of everything. The apocalypse. Their whole philosophy is to push the apocalypse off forever. Have just enough good in the world that the situation for the end of the world never comes to pass, and they always have their power. Honestly, I find that philosophy to be much more scarier and dangerous in the long run, because it's practical, right? Compared to the apocalyptic, whatever false prophecy they tell each other that they'll win, right? The devil prefers, because some part of him wants to think he'll win, right? That was a cat.
The cat's under here.
The cat meowed.
Now he meowed.
He meowed. Well, you can go check on her if you want. But the apocalypse starting people think they can win, while the East Asian version, right, wants to create a situation because they know they can't win. They're like, okay, well, we'll just make our power last forever by always maintaining a balance where there's just enough good where the apocalypse can't happen. That's quite more dangerous. That's much more practical. That's much more possible to be done, right?
Where's he going there so bad?
It's not enough room. Come on. Just yelled angrily at me. Don't you dare jump on there. I can't take it. Oh, we should probably move on to topics. You guys can't see what's happening, but it's hilarious. Anyway. Whew. Yeah, that's why you should always look at the balance talk, like, because there is, like, the truth part of it, there is some balance. Like, God, for example, right, David was the man after God's own heart. The man who cut off 100 dicks just to get his wife. I like to point that out to people. It's like he killed 100 guys and cut off the tips of their dicks and gave it to Saul for his daughter's wife hand in marriage, which incidentally his father-in-law was trying to kill him. Like, hey, you go kill all these guys who are violent and crazy. One of them will hopefully kill you. That's what he was trying to do. But hey, right? David was the man after God's own heart. However, David was not allowed to make the temple to God that would house his power on earth, right? The man of peace, Solomon, had to do that. There's the balance. There's the part. There's the, the good part that they're using as a hook, right? Notice, God's not saying there should be a balance between good and evil. No. Garden of Eden, there was no evil, right? God's in game is the destruction of darkness, of evil, of the shadow, of madness. Gone completely. That's his in game. Not a let me keep things balanced. No. It's the light wins, the dark fails. That's his. He is uncompromising on that, right? So they take the balance bits of culture, of creation, right, and then apply it where it shouldn't be applied. Thus, creating a situation where they can convince us, who have physical bodies, who have the spiritual and the physical, and both are integral, right? God says he's going to give us new bodies at the end of everything. It's fascinating. There seems to be...
Sounds like level 2 to me. What's our duty?
Yeah. There seems to be also this scale. I was just thinking about this 2 days ago. For some reason, it's coming up now. This is more of a Saturday Grizzly files topic, but topic is there seems to be a gradient with monsters and evil and spirits and demons. The more spiritual they are, so there's a level where you can be spirit and not very powerful. Little project, that something that annoys your emotions or something, tricks you into fighting with your wife, that kind of thing. Not a lot of power, right? But can mess with you. The more spiritual something is, the more permission it seems to need to have, or more mojo to pull it off in the physical realm. The more physical something is, the more it can do something like blasphemy, right? The more it can go against God while it's in the physical realm, if that makes sense, right? Men can sin. They can go against God. Not everyone who blasphemes against the Holy Spirit is instantly hit by lightning, though some of them are. That happens later. When the judgment comes, when the physical return happens, that's when that's all judged, right? So the more physical, we are that middle line. We are physical and we are spiritual. Right? We're more than the animals. We have that tie. Our prayers, we seem to be conduits of God's power. I would also argue amplifiers of God's power. Why else does God say pray over and over and over again? And some people might be tempted to say, oh, it's to grow your faith. Really? Do I need my faith grown when I'm about to die? Like someone's going to shoot me with a AK-47 for $40 in my pocket? Or if I'm going to drown or something? Do I need my faith grown or do I need to be saved? Why though? And even in those situations, does God often need you to repeat the prayer? Well, amplifying and conducting God's power in the physical realm. That part of the more spiritual you are, the more non-physical, or the farther you are away, maybe even, I don't know if distance matters. Again, this is theory, crafting time of the game that is life.
Well, also, if you think about like morals,
yeah,
why it's important to be as morally right.
Yeah, that's the connection to God.
Thing. Right. So think about like last night, I was going to say,
yeah,
paying for the food.
Tempted by sin. Right. Where I was bringing up, this ties to the cross, right? That why the devil didn't try to kill Jesus in the wilderness, but did try to kill him at the cross, was because he thought the protection. Even Jesus was part of that, saying, "Why have you forsaken me?" Right? right? And Jesus is like, oh, he's forsaken. He's no longer protected. Sorry, the devil's like, oh, he's forsaken. He's no longer protected. Let's act now. Let's get him now, right? That's how he works. He gets you to sin and breaks that connection between you and God. Breaks the contract, if you will. And that's the beauty of the cross, is it makes those contracts, even when they're broken, null and void. God can say, oh, hey, as long as they ask forgiveness and follow me and repent as best they can, I can forgive this because of the cross, the ultimate sacrifice. But yeah,
it does not make me go and just sin literally if I start praying again and then go sin again and go pray.
Yes. No.
That's not what I mean.
Back to the concept of how the spirit world works. So the more spiritual you are, the more powerful you have to be to affect things in the physical world, or the more permission you might need. If that makes sense. If I could make like a graph, I might one day, because it seems fascinating. Just not only like how a lot of ghost stories and a lot of cultures view the spiritual world, but how the Bible views it and the line of how things synchronize to kind of create this view of you can be something really powerful, like an archangel that's fallen to evil, like some really powerful fallen angel. But for whatever reason, you need permission to screw with somebody. But you can do a lot of things around it, but because the property is holy, you can't touch it, and God's power is there. But it has authority over a lot of regions, and it can't touch a lot of, like, it's funny. You never know how much you can believe when you read the esoteric stories, because of course a lot of these people are liars. What are you going to do? But it's interesting to read about the ones who come out of that and want to have a relationship with God and want forgiveness for their previous lives. They often have this problem where they've been marked in some way, in some ritual or whatever, which allows demonic forces to screw with them a lot more than someone who's been in church their whole life. It's very fascinating. Mm. And it seems like, why should that be? Why should these spiritual things that have so much power need so much permission to affect the physical world? And why should they need human sacrifices or sacrifices in general? They clearly want that. All these religions in the world, they all want these weird sacrifices and rituals and all this other stuff that seem to build whatever entity's power in the area. And and even God, when dealing with the physical world before Jesus Christ comes back and all that, right, works through us and amplifies his power through us and all the rest. Why does he want lots of people to pray at once for big events? We're all amplifying his power and sending it. I would assume my theory on that, if you want to know what some random 30-year-old in the desert thinks, is some random dude out there. Hey, we do, but I think about this stuff a lot. Yeah, take that for what you think. I need a cave. For this talk, like a fire at a little shrine. Like, hey, traveler, what are you here for? Anyway, so God put a little bit of
pipe in your mouth.
No, that's if I'm a pirate captain or something. Or yes, Popeye. No, I was going more with like the Jaws guy. Yeah, like those eyes, the shark. He's a big one. Gonna need a bigger boat. Anyway, that was a different character who said that. Anyway, the point I'm trying to
getting a step closer.
When God made us, right, he says, in his imagers, a bit of his power is in us. You have that concept again in the Greek stories, right? The Greek mythology. The Titans are killed. Kronos, right? In Greek mythology, I brought this up before, right? This is the little rebellious butt boys creating a story where they won, where they killed the great god of the universe, and in their story, he was this maniac entity, and they killed their father Kronos, and then the pieces of him create the Titans, and then they kill them, and then for whatever reason, Zeus mixes the essence of the Titans into mankind when he makes them. So. Which shows, right, how they're kind of making a story to make themselves be the victors when it's clearly false, because it makes no sense. Why would you do that? Why? Why would you mix your ultimate villain in with your creation like that? That's obviously not going to go well. And it didn't in the Greek stories either, by the way. But the concept being that God has put a little power in us, and we have that spiritual thing. Like, what is witchcraft tapping into? It's tapping into that power that God's given us, right? That loan of power, if you will. It's not ours, technically. That spark, it's God's put in us, that we are to follow him and amplify his power and his will towards what he's doing, what he wants. To take it for yourself and give yourself power. See where the sin kind of gets into with witchcraft. How bad it gets vegans. Fast. Yeah, vegans. She's going with that because she's bringing up the times I brought in the fact that dietary stuff is a part of a lot of witchcraft.
Then why does God make us fast certain things?
Certain things, yeah. Because it's Samson, if you remember, could only eat certain things, only drink certain things, and couldn't cut his hair.
They did the same thing, right, David?
That was Daniel and Shadrach and all them. But it was a specific moment that they were not going to eat unclean things. And God blessed it. And a lot of people miss this in the story, is it was a miracle.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have enough protein. But they were still growing strong. That was a miracle. So this God's not saying you should be, you should eat only vegetables. He's saying he did a miracle and gave them protein when they weren't getting enough. And making them
water
stronger.
And vegetables can only help so much.
Yeah, God's hinting this is a miracle. He took it the next step. Not that this is the healthiest thing you can eat. We're not herbivores, people. If we were, we'd ironically be even fatter. If you look at gorillas, they have those big old stomachs. You know why? Because they need extra intestines.
Land whales are a thing.
They need the extra intestines for digestion. And they're also dumber than chimpanzees because they don't eat meat. Chimpanzees eat meat and are skinnier. Chimpanzees are
cannibalistic too. So,
yes, so they are. Chimpanzees are omnivores. They eat it all. Like us.
But in desperate times.
Like
no,
we're a little better that most of the time. But
chimpanzees don't build civilizations.
They did. They'd be violent and rapey. So,
certain race.
Orcs. Anyway. You guys thought I wouldn't. Anyway, so I had a point to all this. I think I was just sharing that. Sometimes I like to talk about the things I think about, so they're
about things
real.
The physical and spiritual. An example of it was fasting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a little glimpse into the spirituality and what prayer is for and why it's there. And why you should pray in advance. If you want to look into a more in-depth view of what I'm talking about here, you can go to the Sunday school lesson streams. They often have more religious themes for obvious reasons than these streams, which accidentally this one became kind of an amalgamation of all the streams. And I haven't gotten to my video game talk yet.
Oh, really?
I kind of did. Not to the fun talk. But yes, if you're wondering, going back to it, why is it dangerous? Why do you need to learn how to defend yourself? Because a physical man can go against God's will in the physical plane. See that there? Right? You can draw a line in the sand and bless it, and the demons might not be able to cross, but a rebel being influenced by demons could. Right? A criminal could. Now, sometimes God can manifest in such a way he has enough power there. He's willing to invest the power to defend you, and something crazy happens, like when Elijah. Yeah, like when Elisha, one of the two,
they ran the
blinds an entire army, right? Like And God has an entire spiritual army there doing battle with demons and stuff. And they blind the entire army. Like a physical crazy thing. Other times, God, in my opinion, and just puts his spirit on someone and gives them power. Like Samson, we brought up. God, instead of killing the Philistines himself, he influences Samson. He puts his spirit upon him, and Samson murders them with a, well, I guess just kills them with the jawbone of a donkey. It was a donkey. Just kills them all. Sometimes he does that. Why does David say, the God that teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight? Right? God can't save power that way. And I don't mean to be that guy. You're all special in God's light. You know, the sparrows knows the hairs on your head, blah, blah, blah. However, this is a war. And in war, there's casualties. And he has to protect his power, get people to pray, and he has to pick, for whatever reason.
Don't be a casualty and don't be something stupid. Don't do something stupid.
What I'm getting at here is he's the most powerful being in the universe, but for some reason, the way the physical world works, he has a limited, his ability to manifest is limited according to prayer and how much he wants to show up. So the more he shows up, the more crazy he gets. Like there's a story, right? Elijah's sitting there and God passes by him, and what happens? Like the world shakes, there's fire, there's all this crap, and then he's in the whisper. But just his presence going across the earth is like shaking it apart. Right? God has to maintain his distance, and when he comes back, that's when, you know, rivers of fire, blood, and all that stuff start to happen, right? It's interesting when you read the Bible and you look at stories and you actually read them for what they are, and you try to put some logic to them. You get this image of warfare with power being a kind of resource that has to be used wisely. Sometimes used more, sometimes used less. Sometimes built up for the cross, for example. Sometimes permission needs to be given, some taken. Sometimes there's some trickery involved, like when God is in his council with all the spiritual beings, and he says, "Who will convince Saul to go to the trap I'm laying out for him?" And the spirit says, "I will trick him into going into your trap."
Isn't that interesting?
Right. You know, and God doesn't share all the rules with us because, like, he doesn't explain how the whole universe works because most of us can't handle it. Most of us can't handle the concept. Most of us can barely handle what has been revealed, let alone what it actually looks like. There's a ton of people who I suspect would fall from the faith if they knew how the whole system worked. We already see that with witchcraft and all that stuff, right? They learn a little bit of how the esoteric and how power works, and they go off the deep end, right? They go crazy. They rebel hardcore because they get that taste. They get a little bit of that taste. Man, this is really this is not where I thought I'd go with this conversation, but I've been having fun and people are here, so I'm gonna keep going. And we can actually see this in Revelations, right? The devil's defeated, he's locked up, and then some buddies release him. It doesn't say who releases him, it says he's just released. Somehow he's let out, and a bunch of people rebel again. And I can only assume it's people who, once they figure out, now that they have the spiritual bodies, now that they've been past everything and they see what the spiritual world actually is and how the physical world interacts, once they see it and they understand how power works, they understand, distinguish good versus evil, right? The knowledge of good and evil, back with Adam and Eve, all the way back in the day, that knowledge corrupts them. And they rebel, thinking they can win. That is part of the reason why God doesn't reveal everything. Because more people would fall away. And it's pretty smart on his part. I bring this whole thing up in the Sunday school lessons, particularly how God went from sharing his whole plan with everybody. Like when Adam and Eve comes, what does he do? He declares to the entire assembly of spiritual beings that he's going to make mankind in our image, in the image of the spiritual beings of God and all that. And that they are to go out, multiply, and take dominion over the earth. That's the plan. And so, what does the devil and his cronies do? They attack them. They attack the beings that we're going to take over the earth and bring it into the kingdom of heaven, thereby allowing them to take the earth and fill it with their children. God goes, I'm not going to let you do that anymore. I'm going to use prophecy, but you're not going to be able to figure out what it means. That's why Isaiah is the way it is. That's why it was created in such a way that God's plans would be hidden and yet revealed. Because God, the devil reads the Bible too, bro. He doesn't like it. He knows what's in it. He knows probably stuff in it that he's changed or managed to manipulate and make people think is different. He probably knows all of that.
There's so many different translations.
Yeah. And in the words of Paul, or was it Paul? Which apostle was it? Who says, it's like, oh yeah, you do good to people, you do this, you do that, great. It was you believe that Jesus Christ is Lord and all that, great. The demons say that and shudder. They believe it and shudder. See, that's like right. The devil knows all these things and shudders. Oh. Wife's giving me that look. We have to wake up early tomorrow.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, we do.
It's okay. It's only 11.
We used to start
at like 10 and go outrageously late. Now we actually get to start at the same time according to everybody, but early for us. It's amazing. Okay. I'm going to speedball the video game topics so they're actually talked about.
Speedball.
Sorry about all the tangents, and also you're welcome. Because they're all connected. But Splitgate 2. Now, my wife and I have played Splitgate 1 for quite a long time. This feels really forced. Anyway, if you don't know what Splitgate is, it's
Splitgate that's split.
Don't be gay. Anyway, so my brain.
Do that?
I couldn't help it. It happened. It's late. It was the only thing I could think of that was funny.
Degenerate joke went out of your mouth.
The Puritans. Anyway, so
where's the mouthwash?
Anyway,
look at that. You need Jack Daniels.
So, Splitgate is like if you take Halo and you cross it with the Portal series. So you know the Portal games that Valve made back in the day. It's like a puzzle thing with 2 portals, and you do all these puzzles. Now you imagine you make that a first-person shooter with Halo-like elements. That's Splitgate. Splitgate 2 is coming out, and I do like it. Right, it's their alpha right now. I get on, try it out, tell the developers. With me, tell them that they need a slightly longer time to kill. That's all I ask. It's getting a little Call of Duty. Quick. It's getting a little too Call of Duty for me. It might be my internet. It's possible. I do like a lot of the changes. It's like going from Halo 3 to Halo Reach kind of change, if you know what I mean. You guys are old enough. You know what I'm talking about. So I like it.
He's old enough to hear type things I don't even know the reference to. That's how you know you're old.
And it is free to play. I think the second one will be free to play. I like it.
I told you.
Your poor booty hurt? My wife's booty hurts. Do you need a pillow? You need a butt pillow?
Shut up!
It's all this.
It's all the bowling yesterday.
Poor little wife. So, what's fun about this is, like some games will have one gimmick. One thing that makes their FPS a little different. Ooh.
The color scheme.
Maybe it's time travel. Or they have chainsaws on the end of their guns. That was the third person here. This game has like 4 gimmicks. Now, I want them personally, and I'm going to make my note, and I want you guys to make that note too, to increase the time to kill a little bit. Because right now it feels like you don't need to use... Also, my complaints right now, even though I enjoy the core gameplay, is there's not enough walls because there's specific areas you can put your portals now. There's not enough walls for the portals. They took, in my opinion, too many of them away. There needs to be more of them in the levels. And I suspect they're doing that somewhat because they want to stop camping in a little way. But I want to point out that you can't limit. They're limiting it too much to the point that people are just ignoring the portals and they're winning anyway. And not all the maps. Some of the maps can't. Not like that. So if you don't know what portals are, so it's you put a circle, you press a button on the right wall, and then you do it again in a different wall, and your character will walk through there and go out the other end of the portal, if that makes any sense. Or you shoot through it. Yeah. Lots of fun
portals.
Yeah, and lots of physics and stuff. So like if you're going really fast for your portal, you'll go fast out the other way. So if you like jump and go through a portal and then you go out another one, you'll maintain your speed and go whee.
I just see a toilets in the pipes and just the quicker you put the dump in, the quicker it's out.
What a beautiful thing. I will flush the toilet every time you go through a portal now, wife. Anyway.
I'm so tired.
Toilet jokes.
Crappy analogy.
Oh no, I've ruined the lighting now. Anyway, we'll continue. This game, though, I like it. Especially Splitgate 1, I really enjoy it.
I'm glad you like toilets.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I really do like toilets. Like I have been in the third world in places where there are no toilets.
Or just a
porta potties.
Stand over a hole.
Yes. And now houses.
It's not even a
toilets
potty.
are beautiful.
Squatty potty. You squat.
Toilets.
And don't you dare go number 3.
Toilets are a beautiful thing. Never. There's a reason why Vox always says, keep your plumbing, man. It's a thing, bro. You don't want to lose it. Oh no, my bald head's ruining it again. I better keep backing up. Anyway. So, the gimmicks, the things that changed the gameplay in this, there's like 4 of them. And I love it. Right now, you have your portals, obviously. There's the Splitgate and the portal shooting and the physics. But you also get lots of movement stuff. So, sprinting, the really long slide. I kind of enjoy that. It's a little Call of Duty-ish, but I enjoy it. Right? It's the feel of the game. You also get perks and abilities now. We're getting a little Call of Duty, but I like it. It's fun. It's fun. It's like armor. It's more like armored abilities and Halo Reach and all that. And now you also have a jetpack. Like you just have a jetpack. It's nice. I love it because
part of 1 you had to work for one.
No, you had a jetpack the whole time.
Oh, you just had the different skins for it.
Yeah, you had different skins. And see, what's really nice about Splitgate is because it's not a Halo game, but it's Halo-esque, you don't have all those Halo purist people who are like, no, senor, you should not even have sprint. You should just walk everywhere slowly. Because those are the people who are really good at shooting and they don't want anything that can get between them and the shooting.
It's like flying everywhere.
Yeah, they'd be the people that only play maps where there's no vehicles or take off the vehicles of the maps because it's distracting, bro. No, it's just because they've never learned how to deal with the vehicles. It's funny to me, the types of people who play video games. Because, especially with multiplayer games, there's always going to be a faction or another who are trying to change the video game so that their style of play is the only viable one. In Call of Duty, it was your assault rifle bros who were always trying to get them to make the assault rifles overpowered. Or the running and gunning is the only thing that works, right? So annoying. I'm feeling a little bit of my critiques also are the spawn points really need a little bit of work in the spawning system.
Because as unit you spawn, you die.
Well, I've had a bad experience. I had mixed experience. Good experience mostly. I had some bad experience. Previous game I played. But the spawn points are a little messy and I think need a little work. I like their big, like they added some cool new games. They have this really cool capture the flag that I want to use in my future games. There's 3 flags and you have to capture all 3 to win a round. But the flags can be stolen at any point.
You have to have all 3 at the same time
to win the round, and then you got to win at least best out of 6, I guess, because it's best of 5. Yeah, best of the 5.
5 is a better number.
It's best of the 5 because you have to win 3 rounds. Lots of 3s. I like it. And so that is a really fun game mode. I find the standard deathmatches spawn points a little weird. The big game mode is fun, but I don't think the maps are big enough for the amount of players they're throwing in. So I just feel like
I don't even know what maps I was playing.
Oh, there's a lot of maps. You just only played a couple of things.
I don't even know what I played.
It was a map.
And I died a lot.
This is true. She had a bad experience. She used to really love Splitgate too. So I'm hoping they can get some of these bugs worked out. A longer time to kill would help out a lot.
The original one, especially with my bat.
There is the bat again, but there's not as many of them. Also, where was I going?
I don't know.
Yeah, those are my critiques. Otherwise, I think it's really like if it's like Splitgate 1, it'll be free to play. I really recommend trying it out because you can really have a lot of fun. At Splitgate 1, I used to really own at because you had all these things you'd use. You'd run into these people, right, who were coming from Halo who never used their portals. It was hilarious. They would just try to
play Split to put game 2, and I want to play 1.
You want to play 1 again? No, it's still on the computer. They might shoot you. You might like it. You get to unlock things. You like unlocking things. Okay, too. It's put in games.
I played so many Rivals.
What wife plays a lot of Marvel Rivals. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, I do recommend that. Right now, I think the first one's better, but the second one has potential, and it needs to change some things.
You said it. You said it.
What?
The first one was better.
It was, but the second one has potential to become better if they can. The problem is, I don't think they will. I do too much of the common denominator, so it's going to be more Call of Duty like. There's some elements of that that's not bad. The upgrades and the having something to unlock, good stuff like that. The bad spawning system and the running around like you're chicken with your head cut off. I found more and more that in the original Splitgate, I could kill a lot of the guys who had excellent aim and whatnot just using portals because they wouldn't use portals because they were just shooting. In this, I've been having more trouble in 2 in the fact that there's not enough reason to use your portals.
I used a portal and there were some people there and they killed me before I could even shoot.
Yeah. The point I'm getting at is the portals feel more like a gimmick so far. And I don't like that. I want it to be a core part of the game. And they've limited too much of the space. Like it needs more walls where you can put your portals up.
Because it doesn't make sense of what it is now.
I mean, it can. In the right, some of the maps are better than others. It's some of the map design philosophy. And right now, you're better off running around shooting people and not even worrying about your portals and only doing it occasionally. Like there's so many like environmental puzzles you could do in the old maps, different angles you could come from, different ledges you could get on. And this one, it just kind of feels like, yeah, occasionally if you feel like it, you'll probably just die anyway. But the new abilities are cool and add a new level of strategy and whatnot. But you would have even more strategy if there was a longer time to kill. Hey. That. My stamp of approval. Play the first one too because it's fun and it has low graphic necessities for your computer. Splitgate 2 surprisingly kept the low graphic necessities. Like it might even work on my wife's laptop, at least on paper it should. And free to play. So check it out, especially if you like the concept of mixing like portal puzzling and Halo. And if you want even more of that, play the original. I have faith that the devs
play the original first. Do the second.
Or maybe play the second because it's first, because it's not quite as good, and then play the first. So you can enjoy both equally. I'm sure they'll be
in the arena.
I'm sure they'll make more. Don't worry. There was a lot of maps that I actually were kind of doing that. They needed more. They needed more. They need more. Anyway, because I need to at least talk about everything I put in the description. You look exhausted. Do you want me to finish up? Did you go to bed? I'll be done in like 10 minutes.
Do I look that tired?
You look look at the screen. You look horrible right now. Like it doesn't help that the lighting's making you look pale. She's not that pale. I don't know why she looks so pale.
I've been in the sun so much.
Keeping this poor woman up. It's funny. She used to go to like 1 a.m. with me, 2 a.m. sometimes. Now that we have a normal schedule again, she can't go past 11. It's only like 11:10 here. You're so cute. I love you. Anyway.
Keep talking.
I'll try to be fast. So, Star Citizen news. We have some new rumors and leaks that are exciting. One of my favorite ship concepts in Star Citizen is essentially a spaceship battleship thing. It really has the space battleship Yamato vibes, if you remember that old anime. Big guns, not too much of a crew necessity. Like you're talking like 6 or 7 crew.
That is about to fall because of its.
Yeah. So for me, that's a cool ship. Big guns, about 6 or 7 crew. My family, I have 6 members in my family, so they don't get old enough. I could crew it with just my family. Anyway.
Do the girls play? Do they even have a computer?
Well, if I'm talking about my family specifically, my kids and you and me, but maybe I can get my cousins in on.
Wow.
I hope so. We can get a little mini fleet going, just their families. That'd be fun. Ooh.
It's funny we used my family as in that word referring to the relative so much.
So the buff. There's a couple things, but it's rumored that they're buffing it. Now, I get a little shaky when they buff military ships because I always get worried that they're going to buff them too much and then nerf them, which is always a pain because the CIG, they suck with the nerfing. Like they always axe things too hardcore. There's so many ships now that are just not as viable as they could have been because they nerf them too hard. It's really annoying. Like I know what they were going for with the Redeemer, but there's just not as much reason to use the thing anymore. Not that I ever had one. Right. Wife just died on the inside. But if you don't know, Star Citizen just a few patches ago not only added Pyro, which is really fun. The little bit I've gotten to play. I have to see if I can play it now that I've moved.
Do you have a Pyro you can try with a Maniac? Are you a Pyro Maniac?
Okay. And you could do it in Pyro. And lots of cool things like spaceships that can be earned in game that stay on your account. Cool stuff. They've put Tarkov like elements in certain areas of space, so you can visit certain areas, and they're like PvP, PvE zones with lots of cool loot. But I like it better because you can get shot and die and then revive in the station and then go find your corpse and loot it or find the guy who killed you. Unlike other games like Tarkov or the Marauders and all that, when you die, that's it. And you don't have a chance for any revenge or anything like that. You get a chance for revenge in this. Oh, yeah. I like it a lot. It's great. It's a good time. Also, it's really chaotic and fun. When it works. Always that caveat with Star Citizen. When it works, it's fun. But
to our tax, we turned to be here so we could get a better computer.
That would be nice. Yeah. That way we can really see how bad it messes up and have no excuse on our computer.
That would be just the internet.
It would be really nice to be able to go to Orison without my frames dying. I know everyone's frames die. Like my computer cannot take Orison at all.
The forever train that's barely like fully looks like a train.
It's true. I have problems with trains in that game. So much so that I will
avoid the train.
Hardcore. I know. So how do you? There's some tricks you can make your. For example, Now, because of pyro, if you make one of your homes in pyro, it's risky. But if you make your home thing in pyro, you'll be in a space station. You won't have to deal with trains. That's a nice perk, but obviously it's a constant PvP zone, so be worried about that. But if you want a safer spot, if you go to Microtech and make that your home base, because you have to start out in the cities. They did change some of that. I don't know if they still did. I think they had to walk that back. But you can actually get to the surface and ride a land vehicle to get to the spaceport instead of the train. Highly recommend that. The way to do that, you go to the commons, then you go up. There's garages above the commons, and you can summon a land vehicle of some kind. And then you can drive to the spaceport like a true American who will knock in on your fancy bullet train to save his life. Anyway, so they're upgrading the Perseus with some bigger, smaller turrets, if that makes any sense. Like their 2 size 6 turrets are staying the same, but they're upgrading, it sounds like, their size 3 turrets to size 4. So I know. Okay,
you keep talking.
Wife's like, I'm just going to get size 6 turret anyway when we get our Perseus. I'm just going to shoot big stuff while you fly around, big boy. I don't need to know all the details.
Okay, fly boy. I'm going to go to bed.
Whew, this has to be a first. We drove her away. Love you, wife. Sleep well.
Cheers, it's hurting my butt. Good night.
My poor wife's butt. Anyway, so they're also adding more automated turrets. So if you don't know, a few cycles back, they added turrets on some of the bigger ships that automatically shoot down missiles and torpedoes and will shoot at small fighters automatically. Pew, 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 pew. So, oh, hi. Oh, hello. Say hi, Rosie. You're a dog. Yes. No, say hi. Yeah, she's confused of what was she supposed to look at. But here she is. She's very happy. She definitely stole my wife's seat. What a punk. You're a punk. Yeah, I know you want to be petted. Yes. Anyway, the star of the show over here. Rosie. Yes. Maybe we should name our Perseus after my dog. Rosie. Battleship Rosieanator. The Rosieanator. 5,000. Anyway, so it's exciting upgrades. Now I'm hopeful that they won't be nerfing if they're already buffing, because they're trying to, they already have the Polaris. They updated and made the Polaris powerful. This is supposed to be the kind of ship that can fight things like hammerheads and Polarises and hit a little above its pay grade on the big ship front, but have a weaknesses towards smaller ships. So it's nice that they are adding some defenses against the smaller ships. Particularly, smaller bombers are going to be the bane of the Perseus's existence. So if you wanted to take one of these out and it's organized and fully crewed, your best bet would be to come in with probably equal amount of force, but in light fighters and bombers, maybe some medium fighters. Yeah, they made them more viable, and preferably maybe some stealth bomber action. So the concept would be the fighters go in and keep the turrets busy, while the bombers do their torpedo runs. Maybe even take out those smaller turrets on one side, and then you launch your torpedoes. It's interesting. What Star Citizens, at least what the devs have been talking about, they want a combined arms in space. The idea being your smaller craft fight amongst each other and by themselves cannot destroy bigger ships, really bigger ships, but through combined efforts with bigger ships and bombers can create openings for the bigger ships to do lots of damage. So each one's kind of important. If you want to know what the goal they're looking for, you can look at the Squadron 42, which is the single player campaign. It should be coming out hopefully in 2026. Maybe what they're going for, because in that you'll see how the fighters create openings and then the bombers exploit them, and then the big ships finish off the other ships. Blah blah blah. an interesting concept. We'll see if they can make it work, but it's already kind of a fun, exciting thing. I like the idea. I like the Perseus. I like that you can fit. Just judging by the size of what they were talking about in its cargo bay, you will definitely be able to fit a couple Furies, which you don't know are little snub fighters, and that would help a lot. Bringing your own escort with you, and of course the Perseus being kind of a large craft, but not quite capital, would work well as kind of a Corvette type thing that creates some openings with its big size 6 guns while being smaller and having less of a signature, so less likely to get hit by big pew-pews. Being more maneuverable and fast and supposedly tough. Oof. But of course, in this game, you're far more likely to run into medium craft, and one salvo from size 6s, bye-bye. But I like the idea of making the man turrets a bit bigger. So there's a few smaller man turrets on there that are kind of designed to keep fighters off you. So hopefully they'll be getting up to size 4s, which would match more what they're doing with capital and subcap, which is what these are called. So there's various sizes, and they keep expanding the roster. But you have your snub ships, your small ships, your medium ships, your large ships, your subcap large ships, and then your capital ships, and then your various sizes of capital ships. It's fun. I like that they've been, have they probably made too many ships? Probably. No, actually, I like how many ships they've made. Do I wish some other things have been made too? Yes. And there's lots of, especially on the industrial front, lots of holes in the inventory. Like right now, there's no. There is. It's in concept, but it's not out yet. Medium or subcap. Yeah, there's. Yes, mining ship. There's no medium. Excuse me. There's no medium salvage ship. There's only 2 small and 1 subcap salvage ship. Salvage ships. I was really hoping we'd get a medium salvage ship, kind of like what the Mole is. If you don't know, the Mole is the medium mining ship, and it has like 3 mining lasers. It's like crew for 6 or 7. You might guess that I only expect to be able to get 5 or 6 to at most 10 people together at one time. So I'm not looking for much bigger than a Perseus. Perseus, yes. That's kind of my goal. My own little kingdom of fun. Don't want to go much bigger than that. Unless, of course, I can get all my cousins in and my children in which case we're looking more like at fleets of 20. That could be fun. But I think in most situations, even with really large organized groups, you're not going to be able to get that many people in one spot that often anyway. So it's good to have a lot of variety of ships with different crew necessities. Yeah. So, fun Star Citizen news. Perseus is not only getting buffed, but is rumored to be coming in the game very soon, which is great. I love it. The Polaris needs something to be scared of, in my opinion. Though one could argue the Polaris could give it a run for its run for the money as well. You should never write it, puppy. Yes. Yes. I should probably get off here. But I'm glad we ended with video games, as this is sort of an entertainment video game book stream. I haven't talked about books much, but fun stream. It's called a gaming stream, but I'd like it to be all of it stream. It's just a pity there's not a lot of good new books I want to talk about. Sad. Maybe I'll still try to find some. I hear there's a lot of cool books in the based book sale. I also want to write my own books and start getting them in those kinds of sales. So maybe I don't want the extra distraction. Well, it's been a lot of fun. Check out Splitgate. I recommend checking it out. My wife prefers the first one better. I think the second one has potential, but needs to make some level design changes and hopefully a longer time to kill. But I like the upgrades. I like a lot of the stuff they are doing. Worth a checkout, and it's free. And right now, the alpha test is there. go get your name in. Maybe we can actually convince them not to listen to the Call of Duty Assault Rifle Bros for once. We already have. Oh, ooh, maybe we can convince them to add wall running like in Titanfall. Yeah, I like Titanfall. That was a good time. Ooh, dang it! I don't have it on me, but I found he's not quite a solo. I think he has like 4 or 5 developers with him. A guy making a diesel punk Titanfall type game, and it looks pretty good. I mean, it's way early on right now, but I need to talk about that maybe next stream. Look forward to it. But yeah, you should check that out because it's kind of lame. I'm not saying Apex is horrible and shouldn't have been made, but I think I would have preferred also having a Titanfall 3. Just saying. I know financially, Apex really worked out for the company, but Titanfall 3 would have been cool too. Titanfall 2 was excellent and actually had a pretty interesting storyline. Not amazing, but interesting. You're new right, puppy. Yeah. All right. And yeah, keep the gay shit out of games. Otherwise, you'll start having pedo shit everywhere. And they'll kick you out. Guys have a good time. Stay angry. No, not stay angry, but stay focused on these things. And remember, that Overton window shifts all the time. And right now it's shifting in the direction we like. But remember, they could shift it in the next couple of generations. That's why this talk is important. That's why we got to ignore all the middle of the road type people who, want the libertarian type middle of the road who think, they always pinky up and say, oh, the extremists are all the same on either side. And you could argue some of the tactics are similar. But one side wants you to cut off your dick and rape all the children. The other side wants civilization, good games, attractive women, and non-depravity. I know which one I want to win. All right. I'll catch you guys later. Star Citizen is fun. Don't let people mess with you. Just worry about the bugs. Don't put a lot of money into it. All right, guys. I'm signing off. I gotta find my wife. Make sure her butt's not hurting too much. See you guys Monday. And we'll be getting back on the schedule hopefully this week. Catch you then.